She rocking the hat.
The hat's on.
The hat is rocking her, and she's rocking the hat.
My hair is greasy as fuck.
Is it? Well, see, that's the good thing about wearing hats.
Yeah.
Is like you can just get away with pretty much anything.
But then I'm like knowing the grease is under the hat.
You can throw it in the wash.
Kind of grosses me out. Okay.
All right. Are we ready?
We're ready.
Okay. Let's fucking do this.
Hit it.
All right, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Humanhood series, brought to you by yours truly, Melanie Peralta, and my beautiful co-host,
Casey Riley.
A conversation devoted to humanizing your human experience and making personal development more personal. Bitch!
We've been waiting for this one.
Waiting is an understatement. Okay, I've been waiting to have these conversations for like 6+ years.
Yeah.
Legitimately, we are going to dive into the Epstein files. I know, even just saying it is crazy, but how do we ignore it, man?
Yeah.
We can't ignore it.
Yeah.
And to a degree, I think that it feels like that's kind of what's happening. Am I the only one who feels that way? Like, I feel like the masses are kind of ignoring it. I think there's a difference between like the masses and like the bubble that we live in.
Yeah.
The bubble that we live in, it seems to be a topic of conversation that is definitely floating around because we're in like, we're the community of the conspiracy theorists.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the masses, just like the average everyday person that doesn't necessarily dive into these different layers of the human existence and consciousness and, have not really gone down those rabbit holes, the people who are just kind of like waking up and going to work and grabbing their Starbucks. No offense if this is you. But there's levels to this shit. You know what I mean? And so I think that just based off of the response or the reaction or maybe even the lack of reaction that I'm noticing on a grander scale, I'm like, y'all don't fucking get it, do you?
Yeah. I don't know. Like, I have noticed a lot of people haven't been like sharing about it as much as they've been like riled up about other topics.
Yes.
But when I really look at it, it's some of the stuff that has come out is truly so unbelievable.
Right.
Like, it's so unbelievable to even think that people are breeding and eating children.
Yeah.
And abusing children who are still attached to their umbilical cords. Like, it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
To the point where it's like how it's hard to sift through that and even sit with it and even speak on something when you are very uneducated about what's going on.
Right.
And I think it comes back to feeling like it's truly unbelievable, even though it is.
Right.
It's happening and it's real. It's like, how? I don't even understand.
Yeah. Well, I think a big part of it is that the dirty details, the devious details are not being, sensationalized in the media. They're not being sensationalized by big popular media outlets or big popular like figures for the masses, if you will. So like, for example, at the Grammys, everyone's talking about fuck ICE. No one's saying fuck Epstein at the Grammys, bro.
Okay, because they're all involved with him and his dirtiness. So, of course, they're not going to say anything.
Well, maybe not all of them. But you know what? I'm glad you went there. Because it's not that they're all involved. But it's that the difference is, and this is what's been coming to my mind when it comes to these topics. The difference between something like BLM, something like ICE, and the Epstein situation, whether people realize it or not, it's a micro issue compared to a macro issue. And I don't think people are realizing that the Epstein is a macro issue. This is like, I told you, I kept saying, this is like, we're talking like global domination, right? BLM, ICE, all those things, they're very significant issues. They're awful things that's happening to people of color and, our culture and stuff like that. But these are things that are happening just in our country or just that are more prevalent in certain states. We are talking about multiple countries, leaders of foreign countries, all like the billionaires who own oil and who are connected to the Federal Reserve, like the people who dictate how we live. You know, the motherfuckers who get to control the weather, like HARP, and then people like Bill Gates who are in charge of pandemic, you know, I don't even know what he calls it, like pandemic preparation or whatever. Like these are the people that we're dealing with in the Epstein files are the people that were directly responsible and connected for shutting down the entire world when COVID hit. COVID, macro issue. Fucking, you know, shingles in America, micro issue. BLM and ICE, micro issue. Epstein, fucking global pedophile, satanic Luciferian ring, macro issue. They're all bad, but there's levels to this shit. You know what I mean? And I don't think people really understand the gravity of that because the average human, we do think small. We're like fucking ants, bro. The average human is just in the fucking anthill, just living in their little ant world, doing their little ant job. They're not thinking about what's going on in the house that the ants live in. And so that's why you see so many more people posting in outrage for what's happening in our neighborhoods, and everyone's posting when ICE is, you know, on the block and like telling their neighbors to be careful because it's more close to home. So there's more of an emotional connection there. We feel zero emotional connection to the people who are dictating the markets.
Well, I think it just comes to the lack of the education around it, and you're kind of touching on it. Like, you and I have known about this stuff for years,
right?
And we've gone down the rabbit hole,
right?
And when it comes to ICE and different things that are more micro and localized, like you said, there's that emotional and close connection. I think it's going to require people to really look at these files and then go digging for them to understand the gravity. Otherwise, it goes back to feeling like this is like just unbelievable. I don't know what to do with
right.
this information.
Right.
I don't want to speak on something that maybe they don't feel educated about.
Totally.
And then the thing that's coming to mind is, I think all of this was very strategically released.
Oh, for sure.
And I find it funny that it's released after AI has become such a thing, because in my mind, I am looking at a lot of the videos and pictures that are circulating on social media.
Which, by the way, a lot of the pictures and the videos that are coming out now are very old images and old videos that came out a long time ago.
Well, in my mind, I'm looking at them asking myself, is this real or is this AI? Because some of them are honestly, like, clearly they look real, but like that, no, like that's AI, you know? And so for me, it's like, I'm seeing this and it's horrible, but is this actually related to the Epstein file, or is this from a movie that was released 60 years ago? Because that stuff is circulating too. There's so much confusion on the media that's being put out, where I also feel like it would be irresponsible to go reposting all these things when it is AI. It just looks fucking real as fuck.
Right.
You know?
Right.
So it's like going into the files and like looking at this evidence for yourself, and then tread lightly on that, because it is traumatizing.
Yeah.
It is very sickening what is coming out.
Yeah.
And even for someone who has known about this and has had like a slow drip to this information, I was like, this is really, I feel this viscerally.
Yeah.
Like, this is sickening.
Yeah. See, I felt that way back in 2020, 2019, when I first came into it, because if I get into something, I'm going all the way.
Yeah,
same. I can be very obsessive and very extreme once I like find something. And I had a very personal experience that led me down that path. So if anybody listening has ever heard of an actor named Isaac Cappy, he was in Thor movies. I can't remember what other movies he was in, but long story short, he was a really good friend of a guy that I was dating. And he was coming out and he was talking about Pizzagate, and he was talking about like just sharing all these things that were very real, and he was dropping names. He was like, you know, he was the guy who named Tom Hanks as being a pedophile, and he was going on this rampage on YouTube, and he was sounding absolutely insane. And it was so funny because that guy that I was dating, I remember he had been trying to tell me about this stuff he's like, you know, these Luciferians, they literally eat babies. And I was like, are you fucking nuts? Like, I just thought he was crazy. I'm like, I remember telling him, don't bring those bad vibes over here. And then when he was like, okay, like, sure, you know, whatever. Then when Isaac started coming out with all these things, you can look him up. He's a notorious whistleblower who killed himself. Mm-hmm. Yeah, supposedly he threw himself off of a bridge. But when Isaac died, the guy that I was dating was like horrified because he had been spending so much time with him lately. He's like, I found a tracker under my car. I was with Isaac on his birthday a couple weeks ago. Like, I think they've just been following all of us. And he was super scared. And he was like, I remember we would be driving and he would be like looking around. It was weird, dude. So it was so close to home to me. And then I was like, what is this? So then I just got curious and I started watching Isaac's videos, and then I just started diving into other things. And I'm like, I've heard a little bit of this before. I've heard a little bit of this before. I heard some of this before. So then my curiosity just overcame me, and I just started deep diving into all of these things, man. Like everything that I could literally find. And back then is when, so everyone's tripping about the Epstein files and all these emails, but back then is when WikiLeaks dropped the Hillary emails and the John Podesta emails, and those were sick, dude. Those were sick. They were talking about sacrifices and all that stuff in those emails back then. And I believe that's when she was running. Yeah, actually.
It was.
Yeah. And again, like you were saying, there's just so much information. People really won't even go and do the research. A lot of people didn't even read her emails, and everyone was like, I stand with her. I'm like, well, she's literally talking about making sacrifices to Moloch in her emails to her friends. So you should probably reevaluate who the fuck you're trusting. But again, the bigger issue here is that And this is like kind of this is where I see opportunity, like a positive sign, is that if people really, really started to dive into what's going on with the elites, then it could potentially bring unity when it comes to politics, and people can wake up to the fact that it's not red versus blue. If anything, like all of this stuff that's coming out is showing that it's elite versus the non-elites. Like that's what it actually is. It's the fucking 1% versus the masses. It's not red versus blue, because there's politicians and leaders on both sides, and then even like spiritual leaders. Did you see the emails with Deepak Chopra? Mm-hmm. Oh, and then even the stuff about the Dalai Lama, like we don't live in the world that we think we live in. That's the reality. That's the reality of it. And a lot of these people that we've respected and that we look up to and that we've been molded to admire are actually people who are directly involved in these things. And when we talk about the involvement, I think people just think of like sick, nasty, like sexual deviance and like people who just have these perversions and stuff, but it's so much deeper than that, because it's not just about these like sick desires. These are, to these people, they are like religious practices. It's far beyond just wanting to have sex with a kid, or, you know, it's literally, it's ritual. And so that's the layer deeper that people don't understand. And we have to really, really open our minds to this, because human sacrifice, child sacrifice, blood drinking, all of that stuff, this goes way, way back to, you seen the movie fucking Apocalypto? Like, this is ancient stuff. And I hate to break it to you guys, but it never went anywhere. It never disappeared. But the people who were involved in this just got more sophisticated about their systems on how, one, they manage to keep society running the way that they want to, but also that they get to live and serve their God and participate in their religious beliefs the way that they want to, how they want to, when they want to, where they want to, which is why things like Bohemian Grove are a thing. And that's why these islands exist. And if you think Epstein Island is the only fucking one, then you are ridiculous. If you think that Epstein didn't get replaced as soon as he got taken out, you're ridiculous. He's not the only one. He'll never be the only one. He has never been the only one. And it's just a system that they have that has been created long time ago, probably hundreds of years ago, where these things have been going on because these practices that they engage in are ancient.
Who has fucking time for this shit? Honestly, I'm like just trying to clean my house.
Totally.
And like
totally.
live normally.
Exactly.
And these people like commit their whole lives to this shit. I'm just like, how do people do this?
Well, you have to think about it because how did they get to the positions of power that they're in? We have no idea. Our minds, based off of our average human experience, we cannot even fathom the global population being at the helm of our choices. We don't know that reality. That's a paradigm far beyond where our mind has even the capacity to really understand. And when you live with that type of power, and you know money doesn't even exist, like you create it, like these people live in an entirely different paradigm than the average person. But another thing that we have to understand is like a lot of these people were raised for their position. They were bred for their position. They were molded to grow up and then be put in that position of power over there, or growed up and then they take on this legacy and this dynasty, and they're the ones that are just like, you know, the queens and the monarchies and stuff like that. It's like that. Mm-hmm. And so to us, we're just trying to fucking fold our laundry. But to them, like, you're the daughter of so-and-so. You've been raised, you've been in these occult practices since you were a baby. And now we're prepping you and we're priming you and we're molding you to then go be the first female president, or then to go do and do this. And you know what I mean? So we don't know nothing about that. The only way we could ever even slightly understand if we go and we read different histories and we listen to different stories, which is what I've done throughout the years. And there's plenty of people out there who talk about, they call it like the families or the family. They talk about how these elite families, when they have their children, that they look for the gifts in their children. Whether their kid, you know, is very logical and, you know, can think a certain way that's like, oh, this kid's going to be in politics. Or this one can sing, oh, this one's going to be over here. Or this one can act, this one's going to be over here. And that these people are literally placed everywhere in society. They're placed in the judicial system, the financial system, agriculture, pharmaceuticals, entertainment. They're placed everywhere in the universities. Like, they literally are the deep, dark underbelly of society. That's what we're dealing with here. You know what I mean? And that sounds crazy because then to a degree, what's happening is everyone, like you said, well, what the fuck am I going to do about it? Like, I'm fucking, you know what I mean? Like, I feel hopeless or I feel this. Yes, and we are fueling and feeding these people every single day when we buy a certain product. Victoria's Secret, the guy, Les Wexner, who was a big funder of Jeffrey Epstein, every time you buy a fucking bra at Victoria's Secret, you're contributing to that dynasty. Or every single time, you know, like our dollars, our time, our energy, where we put our money even, because Vanguard, Charles Schwab, Roth, RIA, oh, RIA, okay. Like Rothschild, we're putting our money with these people. When we invest into Tesla, we invest into Microsoft, we are bowing down to them every single day. Every single day. And the system was created for that. You know what I mean? So it's like we can be, we might not be able to stop them from doing what they're doing. Unfortunately, that's sad to say. It really is. But these systems and these underground cities and all this shit that they have, that they've had for a long time, like unless like the fucking, if there's anybody who can have any type of effect on this, I put my money on the ex-military men. There's actually, so through that guy that I was dating at the time, he was connected to a lot of very like special operations military people, and there are actually a lot of very secret, like private military, like ex-military operations, ex-SEALs and stuff like that, that they're out there, dude. Like if there's anything that I've learned, there are heroes out there that are going and they're fucking finding these children and they're finding these adrenochrome factories and they're fucking, like, there's people out there doing shit like that, and there's a lot of success in it. But that's never going to make the news, unfortunately. There are these like secret military channels, actually, where all this communication goes down. So there are heroes out there that are working towards stuff like that. But I do believe, like, if there's going to be some sort of shift, like systematically, it's going to have to start with like the good guys who are already in. And then it's going to have to start with like awareness from us to know what we're fueling and what we're feeding and how we're being manipulated and how we're being distracted and all of that. Like, it's like a pyramid, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I can really think about is like, why the fuck are they just releasing this shit now? Like, to me, it's like, this is a distraction from something.
Oh, for sure.
They're not just going to out their own people for no reason. So when all of this stuff got released, like, yes, there's all of this. But in my mind, I'm thinking, like, why'd you do this?
Oh, dude. The way that they're releasing it, it's psychological warfare at its best. Yeah. Like, absolutely. Someone once said, like, World War III will not be physical. It will be psychological.
That's what it feels like.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like.
There absolutely is massive psychological warfare going on right now, and people don't even realize it. But aside from, like, them just dumping 3 million files, bro, who the fuck is going to read 3 million files? What? No, like, quote unquote, nobody. You know, we're barely scratching the surface, unless for some reason you have a database of these files and you can put it through an AI thing and you can put all these keywords that you're looking for. Then okay, I'm sure somebody has that, by the way. That'd be really dope. But other than that, like, the timing of it all, you drop this shit during the Grammys, you drop this shit during the fucking Super Bowl, you drop this shit when there is like a racial revolution going on with the Hispanic people. Another thing I want to say, you ever notice that whenever there is something going on in the media where there's mass outrage happening, like, they're always targeting colored people. They're always targeting people of color, like the black people, the Latinos. Personally, I think it's because we are the races that have a lot of fucking fire and spice, and we're very emotionally charged people. I feel like there is something about like our cultures and our spirits that we do have. They know they can create outrage within us, because if they started going against the fucking Asians, you think the Asians are gonna pop off the way the Latinos and the blacks do, bitch?
Maybe.
I don't know. I don't know. But it's like, there's a lot of issues in these other cultures as well, but there's never any movements, there's never any sensationalized movements around that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I have my theories around that as well. But all of this stuff is coming out when there's so much distraction. Again, Grammys, Super Bowl, this, the whole ICE thing, the Olympics, like all of these different things. So everyone's like, USA, Bad Bunny. And then it was like, Epstein. And it's just a lot happening, And then all of these other investigations that are happening. I didn't even dove into it because I don't watch mainstream media. But have you heard about some massive story about some like grandma that was fucking like something Guthrie or something? The grandma that was abducted or some shit?
She was abducted in Tucson.
Oh my God.
So I'm not laughing at the abduction.
But
they're saying that that's a distraction from all the shit too.
Yeah, because like, why are they sensationalizing and covering that more than what's fucking coming out in these files? What?
I just still don't get why they release them at all.
I mean,
like, I really don't understand it.
Well, I think at some point they were gonna have to. This president.
Do they have to? Like,
well, I mean, from the perspective of like the pressure that they were receiving, especially considering that Trump based so much of his fucking campaign on releasing the Epstein files. He was receiving pushback from so many areas because he ran on that for so long. And first of all, I know so many people are like just. So many Republicans, so many people who voted for him, and I'm shout out. I didn't fucking vote at all. I didn't fucking vote for anybody. But a lot of people are just feeling so disappointed and so let down and so fucking gaslit because now all of a sudden he's saying like, "Oh, that's a hoax. We got to move on from Epstein." I'm like, "Yeah, motherfucker, because your name was up in them files too, bitch. Like a gang of times."
But in my mind, it's like. Trump didn't just get elected. Like, they placed him. All of it's a fucking place. That's why I'm like,
yeah, and
cool,
honestly,
run your shit, Trump, but, like, you were placed there. You did not win. None of the presidents won. They were all placed. And so that's my thing.
I think at this point, I'm so convinced that his role in the plan, like in the grand plan, I think his role, one of his major roles, is just like agitator. I think that, like, he is here to, like, pull on the fucking emotional and mental heartstrings and to trigger people in so many ways, whether he triggers you in, like, a uplifting way, like, all the, like, the hardcore MAGAs, or the people who fucking hate him. Mm-hmm. I think at this point, because for him to recently even drop, he dropped some picture of like Michelle and Barack Obama on like monkey bodies on Twitter. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, as sophisticated as you are, like that was some sort of emotional play. At this point, I think that so many of the things that he's doing and a lot of other people are doing are to just rile up the fucking crowd. And unfortunately, a lot of the people out here who don't really see the bigger puppets hands, being at play here, they're like, "Oh, this fucking racist ass president and blah, blah, blah." I'm like, yeah, he's here to play his role to trigger you and to piss you off and to be sensationalized and to cause all of this fucking chaos, essentially, because, bro, you know better than that. Everybody knows better than that. But you did it at a certain time and all of this stuff. It's like right after these files get dropped and you want to pop off on Twitter with some racist shit and then everybody makes it about you. And it's just, there's a lot of layers here. Going back to psychological warfare. Like that's what's happening right now. So with that, if you're listening and you're feeling fucking overwhelmed like Casey is, which is why she just had to take a deep breath.
I'm not feeling overwhelmed. I'm feeling, because I think everything is just plotted and planned. So how the fuck, why am I going to get riled up because Trump posted a picture of the Obamas in a monkey suit when I know that it's all planned?
Totally. I feel the same way.
Everything is planned. And so I'm just like, when I think of it that way, yes, I'm hurting for the children who are involved. I know that this is a serious, like, real operation and that there's some fucked up stuff going on. But when I think about, again, like, the players, the Obama who came in, all these people who came in, fucking even Candace Owens, like, they're all fucking players. They're all a part of it. And when I think of it that way, I'm like, I'm not attached to the drama that you're creating, because that's your role in this fucked up world.
See, I would love to know who's really not a part of it, because I personally don't believe that everybody is.
I think majority are. I think the majority of people are.
I don't think that they're allowed to be. Like, and what I mean by that is, like, these elite people, just because we look at these Hollywood celebrities and to us they're like, you know, we look at them all, oh, they're, well, not we, but the, you know, people look at them like, oh, there's these famous celebrities and they're millionaires and blah, blah, blah. The elites, they look at those people like, so fucking what? Like, you're also a nobody to us, because that's how big. They're like, bitch, I run a country. Like, you know, I own this whole fucking continent. Like, you, this actor in these little movies, you're nothing.
But that's how they get to the people like us.
Totally.
Is through that stream.
Totally. But because the elite are the fucking elite, they're not just letting anybody in. Like, they're just not.
That's what I'm saying. Everyone's a fucking plant. Everyone's a plant, because in order to be connected, so Trump is super connected to Candace. You think he's just like,
well,
oh.
no, Candace is like, fuck Trump now.
But it's all a fucking plan, is what I'm saying. Is my belief is that they all used each other to get the attention that they want, and now things are... You think Nicki fucking Minaj is going on Trump's campaign now without some agenda? Like, this is craziness.
I never trust Nicki. I've never trusted
what
Nicki.
I'm saying is like, what you're saying is the elite, like, have so much power. Yes. So if they're going to come to somebody and say, I need you to do X, Y, and Z, they're going to do it. They are going to do it.
I don't know. Joe Rogan, have you seen the whole Joe Rogan stuff that he was mentioned in the Epstein files?
Mm-mm.
Okay, so he was mentioned in the Epstein files, but he was mentioned because Epstein was asking somebody to introduce him to Joe. Like, he wanted to connect with Joe. So then but I guess Joe turned him down and was like, I'm good. I don't want to come to the island. And so, yeah, I do believe that there's people out there with integrity.
Yeah.
I do believe that there's people out there who are like, fuck you, dude. Hell no. So I don't believe that just everybody's involved or everybody's complicit. I do believe that there are people out there. Like, I was thinking about this the other day. I was thinking about, like, Rihanna, right? The thing I love about Rihanna.
She dated the billionaire who was in the files.
Yeah. But the thing that I love about, okay, this is my theory about Rihanna. My theory about Rihanna, which, by the way, I'm a fucking diehard Rihanna fan. I love her. She can do no wrong in my eyes. Even if she was a part of it at once, I believe that she's genuinely, like, trying to just live a normal life. So, I think that she was a young girl in fucking Barbados. Jay-Z found her, brought her up, you know, fucking turned her into one of the biggest global pop stars on the planet. And she went down the good girl gone bad path and started getting into all of that shit. Even the way she used to dress back then and stuff, you can tell that she was just like an industry baby. But then after a while, just even me being an avid fucking fan of hers and listening to every album, every song from start to finish, I felt like I kind of noticed when she was releasing from Jay-Z and, you know, Rockefeller and all of that stuff. And I think that there's people like her who they were young and they got into a position and they may have sold their souls or made some sort of, you know, dirty deal with the devil or whatever. And then they fucking are like, what did I do? And they're trying to get out of it, but they're just trying to live a peaceful life. They know what's going on, but now they're like, I've been through that darkness. I know what that is. I just want to live my life. I'm going to shut the fuck up and I'm not going to say anything because I want to preserve my children. I want children. I want a marriage. I want a normal life. I think there's a real big reason why Rihanna has not come out with music in a long time. I think there's a reason. I don't know if like contractually or like whatever. I think there's a reason why she hasn't either one been able to actually make music and do it the way that she wants to, like whether that be creatively, but also just financially, if there's some sort of deal there or something. Because bitch, when the fucking last time we were supposed to get it, I felt like we were supposed to get an album forever ago. But I think people like her, they know what's up. They know what's going on. I feel like they had a taste. Like they seen that side of the fucking block, you know? But then now, like, they're like, I'm just trying to live a fucking normal life. So I think there's a lot of fear involved for like the people who know what's up. They don't want to get chopped. They don't want to turn into Michael Jackson, bitch. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think there's a lot of submissiveness out of fear because they know how powerful these people are. They know the depths. They know what's possible. They've seen some of these people get taken out like that, you know? Mm-hmm. So I think there's like, not everybody's involved, but I think a lot of people fucking know and they're just being quiet because they're scared and they don't want to die or they don't want their lives ruined and their fucking bank accounts frozen or, you know, whatever they did to Kanye. All that shit, just taking all his money away like that. Fucking bank accounts frozen. What? That's crazy. How you go from being a billionaire, you have no access to money? That's insane. So I think a lot of people are just afraid and don't want to say anything. And then I genuinely do believe that there are a handful of good people out there with good intentions who are like I think Joe Rogan is one of them, you know? And I don't know about Candace. I've been watching, honestly, I've been fucking really, really interested in her Charlie Kirk investigation. Have you seen it? Oh, man. It's just because it ties into a lot of like the MK Ultra stuff. So this is interesting. I want to dive into how a lot of these different things connect. Because even with the ICE stuff, right? Everybody being so passionate about what's happening with immigration and these families being ripped apart and the children being taken away from their families and just what's happening to our people on fucking stolen land, you know, like let give these people an opportunity to figure it out. But I mean, there's levels to it, you know, there's levels to it, like legally, all that stuff. But with that, what people are totally forgetting is that when all these people were coming into our country when the borders were open, there were tens of thousands of children that went missing. No children accounted for. Tens of thousands of children? Where the fuck did they go? That's insane. So you think that all of these people just came over here and that all these kids just fucking disappeared and that none of those children are potentially ending up in the hands of these pedophile rings and these Epstein clients, and you think none of those tens of thousands of kids are ending up in those situations? Those are our Latino children. What? Like, we don't make those connections. We don't realize like, oh, we just want our people here. So we want these open borders and they can come in, but we're not thinking about all the children that are going missing and then what the fuck is happening to them. And that there's a very elaborate plans in place to get children placed in certain things to where they can just disappear. And then who's buying them? Or where are they going? And what are they being used for? And you know what I mean? So it's like, that a lot of this stuff is very intertwined and a lot of this stuff is very connected. We just don't realize it. We just don't see how all of this stuff kind of like weaves a certain type of thread. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I know this is a lot, you guys, but it feels important to talk about because I feel like we're all really fucking confused. And to a degree, we're like, we don't know where to place our emotions. We don't always know where to place our convictions, what we can even do about it, why it even matters to us. Sometimes it's like it's just too overwhelming for us to even think about. But the reality is, like, this is the world that we live in. And at some point, we do, in my personal opinion, I believe in at some point, we do have to start caring more about the grand foundation of society that we play a role in, because we still got what, fucking 40 plus years to live. We don't realize that we are in one of the most significant times in human history. I don't think we realize that. Like the past decade, or like from 2020 to 2030, bro, what? This is going to be one of the most monumental times in human history, and we are alive for it. We are living for it right now. And how we choose to perceive the world and maneuver through these times, and how we're thinking and what we're like feeling and viewing and acting and all this stuff, whether we can really process it all right now or not, we are unconsciously sowing seeds for our own futures right now. And we're sowing seeds for our children's futures and our children's children's futures. And that's pretty fucking important. Because if I was 80, I'd be like, if I was like 80 with no kids and just my dog, or like, if I was like, I'm going to be out of here soon anyways, it might be different. But we still have a long time here. And who knows what the world is going to look like. And we look back at like these horrible atrocities that have happened in the past, and like all the people who were like, oh, they're burning people in these concentration camps. And they're like, no, they're not. It's fine. It's not happening. Everyone chill. You're bugging. We're over here fucking making bread. Like, and then next thing you know, then they came sweeping through and shit got real fucking scary. My dad always used to say this: don't live your life like it won't happen to you. And it's not about living in fear, but it is about just living with awareness and not being naive in this crazy world, because we sit here and we're fucking sipping our matchas and talking on our podcasts and it's all good. Thank God. But if anything showed us what is possible, COVID should have showed us that. When we couldn't leave our homes, bro. When everything was shut down. Like, that was insane. That's the level of global impact that we could be facing. So right now, as uncomfortable as these topics are, as much resistance as we feel to wanting to know about them and to being curious and to even giving them any of our time and energy and attention, there is a bigger picture here. And we still got a lot of life to live. So how we maneuver through these crucial times in history actually does matter for our own selves, for our own selves. So I just want to plant those seeds. Clearly, I'm super fucking passionate about these things, but it's a crazy time, man.
Do your research, people. That's all I got for you.
Yeah, do your research, honor your nervous system, honor your energy. Your energy, I think we do forget that we are a collective consciousness, and that we are literally energetically connected in like a quantum field. It's not even spirituality, it's actually just science that we're all connected. And so your state of being absolutely does matter. I always do my best, because I'm invested into these things. I do my best to maintain my state of being as much as possible when it comes to this stuff, being as grounded as we possibly can, even when we are researching or when we are giving our time and attention to something. It can be very challenging to maneuver through, but we get to approach these things from an empowered place. And if for you that means not diving into any of it at all and maintaining your own household with your children and your family, then okay, do that, because you being in a state of peace is still contributing a positive vibration to the human collective. But if you are the type of person that you, like me, that I am putting energy into all these other things in my life, but I am wanting to learn about this. I am wanting to stay informed. I am making, little choices here and there during my days of what I'm buying and where I'm buying from, or this, or just like these tiny little things that also do contribute to the grand whole, whether we realize it or not. These are like the micro things that do support the macro. Just do your best to keep your peace through it all, you guys. Chat with the motherfucking friend. Shoot us a DM. Shoot me a DM.
Yeah.
Don't shoot Casey.
Don't shoot me a DM. Not on this topic.
Any last words?
No.
Casey's done here.
Peace out.
Bye. Bye. Love you guys.